Welcome to datascience.show, the podcast where data science meets executive leadership. We talk with top AI and analytics thought leaders about turning data into real business impact. If you're a C-level leader or data expert shaping the future, you're in the right place.
Welcome to datascience.show, where data science meets leadership. I'm Mirko. Today, a 30-90-day C-suite playbook to stand up an AI ethics board that actually enforces decisions, not just offers polite advice. Why this now? Because ethics that sit on the sidelines become PR problems, regulatory headaches, and costly remediations. I'll start with a short anonymized vignette to set the stakes, then walk you through a compact, practical launch sprint you can run this quarter. Picture this. A mid-sized fintech launches a credit decisioning model after a favorable advisory review. The advisory committee recommended targeted audits and a limited pilot. Product rushed the rollout to hit a revenue target. Within weeks, a community group flagged disparate impact on a protected cohort. The story hit social, regulators asked questions, customers complained, and the company spent months and millions to roll back, remediate, and rebuild trust. The advisory group existed. It just had no teeth. Here's my thesis in one line. Ethics boards must have binding authority and auditability, or they become theater. Advisory opinions are useful, but for executive-level decisions, procurement holds, product launches, incident responses, you need enforceable pause and escalation paths, funding for remediation, and a named sponsor who signs off on outcomes. That's the frame for the 30-90-day playbook I'll outline now.
First, the charter and decision rights. Draft a short, unambiguous mandate that does three things. Grants explicit pause authority for any product or procurement decision involving models with identified risk vectors, defines what types of decisions are binding versus advisory, and creates an escalation ladder up to the CEO or board if remediation budgets or timelines are contested. Sample language: the ethics board may issue binding holds on deployment pending remediation. The named executive sponsor shall allocate interim funding for remediation within 30 days or escalate to the CEO. That kind of language turns intent into operational muscle. Second, membership and independence. You want a compact, balanced roster, not 30 people. Include an executive sponsor, CPO, CPO, or CRO, a legal representative, a risk or compliance lead, 2 technical reviewers who understand model lifecycle and data provenance, and 1 or 2 rotating external experts for credibility. Add conflict of interest rules. No voting by members who materially benefit from the decision under review. Compensate externals modestly. Cover their time and legal protections. Rotating externals preserve independence without making governance slow or ceremonial. Third, evidence standards and operating rhythm. The board needs a predictable intake package, a 2-page decision memo, a data snapshot, model cards and lineage, and a proposed mitigation plan with costs. Define severity bands for issues, low, medium, high, critical, with corresponding timelines and response expectations. Operate weekly for triage during launch windows, monthly otherwise, and keep an auditable backlog. KPIs to track: average time to decision, remediation completion rate, and number of enforced holds. These make the board measurable and auditable. Fourth, integrate the board into procurement and product gates. Contracts should include clauses that allow the board to require audits, pause pilot expansions, or withhold go-live approvals when the decision meets severity thresholds. For pilots, use limited permissions and explicit roll-forward criteria. For procurement, add a clause that conditions payment milestones on passing a board-reviewed risk assessment or remediation. Link incident response. When a harm is identified, the board triggers a predefined incident protocol and a remediation budget cap that the sponsor controls, again, written into contracts and operating playbooks. Now, I promised a brief external perspective. I spoke with an independent ethicist who works with boards across industries. She emphasized 2 credibility levers: transparent, redacted case summaries to show the board is actually making decisions, and external review panels for high-impact cases to reassure stakeholders. She also warned about legal exposure. Publish what you can, but always coordinate disclosures with counsel and retain an internal evidence pack for auditors. Her point, credibility and legal prudence need to move together. Fifth, the 30-90-day launch sprint. If you have executive bandwidth, here's a prioritized checklist you can run in 30 to 90 days. Days 0 to 7, name the executive sponsor and draft a 2-page charter with explicit pause authority. Day 8 to 30, assemble core membership, engage 1 or 2 externals, and publish intake templates and severity band definitions. Day 31 to 60, pilot the board on 3 real decisions: procurement, a pilot go-no-go, and a simulated incident, and iterate the cadence and evidence pack. Days 61 to 90, lock contract language into procurement templates, agree remediation funding rules, and publish a redacted annual reporting format. After 90 days, you should have a working board, test cases, and the first audit trail. Sixth, transparency and reporting. Publish a short annual report with redacted case summaries: what was reviewed, rationale for decisions, and systemic actions taken. For each public summary, coordinate with legal to remove identifying data and privileged material. Internally, keep an evidence pack for auditors: full minutes, data snapshots, model artifacts, and legal reviews. These artifacts create accountability and help the organization show regulators that decisions were not just opinions, but auditable actions.
Finally, risks and mitigations. Risk 1. The board becomes advisory theater. Mitigation: hard code pause authority, remediation funding, and a named escalation path in the charter. Risk 2. A monologue-style rollout that feels didactic and loses buy-in. Mitigation: run the micropilot with real decisions and externals. We just heard that independent voice. And publish sanitized outcomes. Risk 3. Public summaries that create legal exposure. Mitigation: build mandatory legal vetting into your cadence and keep the internal evidence pack intact. These are practical, not theoretical fixes. Before we close, 2 quick, actionable takeaways you can use immediately. 1. Write a 2-line charter clause this afternoon that gives the board pause authority and names the sponsor. 2. Run a single pilot decision through the board in the next 30 days: procurement, product go-live, or a simulated incident. Those 2 moves will shift your program from advisory to enforceable.
If you want the templates, the charter draft, intake form, escalation matrix, and a sample agenda, download the 30-90-day launch sprint pack in the show notes. Use it as a sprint kit to move from intention to enforceable governance. That's practical governance, turning ethical intent into auditable decisions, and ultimately protecting reputation and aligning AI investments with business goals.
Thanks for listening. If you found this useful, subscribe to datascience.show and share this episode with a fellow executive or GC who signs off on contracts. I'll leave you with the show's signature. That's the difference between models and value. I'm Mirko. See you next time, where we go beyond the buzzwords and focus on clarity over complexity.
Thanks for listening to datascience.show. If you found value in this episode, subscribe, share it with your network, and join us next time as we explore how data science drives smarter decisions and better business outcomes.